The Kuwait Society for Human Rights hosted a news conference for Human Rights Watch HRW to mark the release of its World Report 2014, highlighting the developments in human rights in dozens of countries throughout 2013. HRW is an independent international organization that works as part of a vibrant movement to uphold human dignity and advance the cause of human rights for all. Sarah Glubb has more in this report.
Held a news conference to officially release its World Report 2014 with a special focus on human rights developments in Kuwait in 2013.
Well, we're here today in Kuwait to release the annual report from Human Rights Watch. It's a report that reviews the human rights situation in more than 90 countries, and today, in collaboration with the Kuwait Human Rights Society, we're focusing on the Kuwait chapter of that report. Kuwait has historically been a leader for free speech and for political participation, particularly in the Gulf countries. Now, the developments of the last 2 years are worrying because we're seeing a regression in some aspects of respect for freedom of expression. And this is what the report highlights. Now, our hope is that Kuwait will resume its leadership role in the region in being a true promoter for free speech, and that by decreasing prosecutions for things like tweets and free assembly in the streets.
In Kuwait, the report said recurring political disputes between the government and parliament have paralyzed political institutions and the passage of most new legislation. The report also tackled the issue of the stateless residents, minorities, women's rights, and freedom of speech.
Today we held a press conference to launch our World Report. This is an annual report we do where we look at over 90 countries in the world, their human rights record over the last 12 months. Today we launched officially Kuwait's chapter. We're very happy that we had the opportunity to launch the chapter in Kuwait itself, where we reviewed the last 12 months of sort of the main human rights violations that we see and the urgent need that the government has to address them. The main issue that we discussed was the increases in cases of people expressing their free speech rights. Finally, we talked about domestic workers' rights and the fact that in Kuwait, the only protection domestic workers have is a draft standard contract as opposed to a law. They're explicitly left out of the labor law. As a result, they're extremely vulnerable at the hands of their employers.
In the 667-page World Report, its 24th edition, Human Rights Watch reviews human rights practices in more than 90 countries. Syria's widespread killings of civilians elicited horror, but there were few steps taken by world leaders to stop it. Moreover, a reinvigorated doctrine of responsibility to protect seems to have prevented some mass atrocities in Africa. Majorities in power in Egypt and other countries have surpassed dissent and minority rights, and Edward Snowden's revelations about U.S. surveillance programs reverberated around the world. Human Rights Watch held this news conference to present its World Report 2014 with a special focus on the human rights developments in Kuwait in 2013. However, this year's theme goes deeper than this and tackles ending prosecutions against free speech in Kuwait, an issue that has recently gained serious recognition, particularly for foreigners. From the El Sayr Hall at Kuwait Human Rights Society, this is Sarah Glubb reporting for English News.